Hello Magic fans, I'm Beef and welcome back to another Historic Brawl gameplay video. This time featuring a Grist Voracious Larva deck. Grist is a 1 mana 1/2 with Death Touch, and it has whenever Grist or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, if entered from your graveyard or you cast from your graveyard, you may pay green mana. If you do, exile Grist and transform it, and it comes back as Grist the Plague Swarm, a 3 loyalty planeswalker. As a +1 that says create a 1/1 black and green insect creature token, then mill 2 cards. Put a Death Touch counter on that token if a black card will mill this way. -2 to destroy target artifact or enchantment, and a -6 for each creature card in your graveyard. Create a token copy of it, except it's a 1/1 black and green insect. So Grist is obviously a graveyard reanimator style deck. I do think out of the 4 I've played so far, and I'm counting Vajani because I've played Vajani in non-Brawl, it's probably the weakest of them all. And I think one of the reasons for that is the front side doesn't do anything, or do anything extra, really. You know, you look at Rao reduces the cost of instant sources by 1, really powerful. Tamiyo can create clues, which is draws you a card, really powerful. And even Sorin, it has that extort, so whenever you cast a spell, you can pay additional mana to gain a life and ping your opponent for 1. So there is potential upside to keeping those cards on the front side. Ajani, not so much, just because it doesn't do anything apart from discourage your opponent to attack or block so you don't kill your cats. But Grist, yeah, it's a 1 mana 1/2 of Death Touch, but it doesn't do anything else. It doesn't make it easier to bring back those creatures. Whereas the other ones, so the first 3, Rao, Sorin and Tamiyo, made it easier to transform it. Also, the fact that you've got to pay green mana to transform it means, like Tamiyo, you can transform on turn 2. You can even transform on turn 1 if you have Tamiyo, or you would have Tamiyo, a Mox Amber and a Brainstorm. Grist, you probably aren't transforming in till turn 3, just because you need to play him on turn 1. Turn 2, unless your opponent kills him or blocks, which they probably aren't going to do, you will need you play 2 lands, and then you will need mana to sacrifice Grist or get him to graveyard somehow, mana to bring him back, which is usually 1 mana, so 1, and that's 2 mana total, and then 1 mana to transform him. And then the Planeswalker side is not massively powerful. It's -2 is good against really powerful artifacts or enchantments, great, but it's not like it can kill creatures, and it's +1 creates a blocker, and it can put a Death Touch counter on it, and it will most of the time. But it's a bit like, okay, it's not going to protect itself that much. It's not going to draw you cards. It's -6 is really powerful, but you need a lot of creatures in your graveyard to make it worth it. So that's why I think it's not the most powerful. Also, it's a reasonably low curve deck, but it's not an aggro deck. And the longer the game goes on, your opponent's going to have probably bigger, more powerful things than you are. I had games where I just didn't draw any other creatures, couldn't get anything to my graveyard, so couldn't get anything back, and all that kind of thing. And yeah, a lot of that will be the deck building, which I'm still working on. But yeah, I just found it hit and miss, a lot more hit and miss than the other ones. But we'll quickly rattle through the deck. So obviously one of the key things with Grist is bringing creatures back. So we do have our recursive threats. A lot of these have things like, you can pay to bring it back. If Bloodsoaked Champion is, if you attack this turn, Cold Conscript, if a non-skeleton creature died under your control this turn, you commit a crime. Young Wolf is probably the best because it just has Undying, so when it comes back, when it dies, it comes back with a +1/+1 counter on it if it didn't have one before. So this is how you can transform Grist on turn 2. Grist turn 1, Young Wolf turn 2. Actually, no, you couldn't even do it because you still need 3 mana. Yeah, ignore that. Gixxan Recyclers, an alchemy card, has Unearth, but when it dies or gets put in your graveyard from your hand or library, you conjure another one into your graveyard. Again, a good way to transform Grist just because it's going to die at the end of combat. Bloodghast has landfall when it comes, so it comes back from the graveyard whenever you play a land. Then we also have the reanimation tool, so reanimate any graveyard. So interesting with Grist, it's when you bring a creature back from your graveyard, so you can't reanimate someone else's creature and transform Grist, which again I think it's a restriction that wasn't needed. Unearth is a great way to bring back Grist. Chthonian Nightmare is probably one of the best cards in the deck, because while it costs 2 mana, you get 3 energy. You can then pay X energy, sack another creature, return the Nightmare to your hand, and then return target creature card with mana value X from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you can get back Grist, transform Grist, get down the Nightmare again, get more energy, and build up to some of your big hitters. Persist brings back non-legendary creatures. Sheoldred, the end of the third counter on the Saga side, can bring back all creatures. Next up, we have our big hitters, which is what we want to be reanimating. Perforated Crocodile is a really powerful card from Alchemy. We can cycle it early, but when it ETBs, you put a Stab Wound, which is an enchantment, on each creature your opponent controls, which gives them -2/-2. And at the beginning of the upkeep of your enchanting creature's controller, that player loses 2 life. So sometimes you don't want to kill their board, you want to make their board smaller, and that way, at the beginning of upkeep, they can take a lot of damage. It's a bit like Massacre Worm. And then we've got Vein Ripper, that's an incredibly powerful card. Hornet Queen, again, it puts down 6 power of flying and Death Touch, which is really powerful as well. And then Kratos, everyone knows about. Then we just have some general good stuff. Ramp, Mishra's Ball we actually draw, but Mox Amber, Dark Ritual, Village Rites, that shouldn't be in there. Springleaf Charm and Jet Medallion. Then removal, a lot of sacrifice removal, and we've got hand disruption as well. Toxic Deluge is good to clear the board, and Grave Pack is probably the best card in the deck. Games where I've had it on the battlefield is just makes so much difference. Basically, whenever a creature you control dies, each player sacrifices a creature. So we get this down, we sacrifice a creature to Chthonian Nightmare, or to Bone Shards, or Innocent Blood, or a Cursed Marauder, and they've got to sacrifice a creature as well. Really good against Nadu because he doesn't target. And then we just have the general good stuff. Some card draw, some mill. Haywire Might's good against, obviously, non-creature enchantments and artifacts. Blood Artist pings your opponent, and you gain 1 life whenever a creature dies or Blood Artist dies. And then things like Fiend Artisan, which grows the more creatures you have in a graveyard. And yeah, Woe Strider plus Grave Pack is just horrible for our opponent. So that's the deck. As I said, I found it not hard to play. I found it not particularly powerful, but I did enjoy it when it worked. Hope you all enjoy it too. And if you do, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the gameplay. Ooh, 1 land. It's tapped as well, so can't keep that. Although the rest of the hand's not bad. This is better. We can Mana Confluence, get down Grist, and Mox Amber. We will get down the Birthing Ritual, and then probably have to put down the Boseiju. Swing in. Sure. Next turn, we can unearth Grist and transform it. want to draw some more lands. Obviously we do have some tap lands, but there we go. So let's unearth. Get back Grist. And we will pay. And we'll swing in with the recycler. So we don't have a creature we can get back, so I won't sacrifice the token. That's unfortunate. We'll swing in with the little insect. Mill 2 lands, so not the end of the world. And then I'll do it on their turn. And again, nothing we can get. I'll sack the tapped insect for Corrupted Conviction. We'll crack our foothills. Get us a Vow land. Yeah, Vein River's a good draw. And we can draw it now. Tick up again. We can actually cast Vein Ripper. Although I imagine they might have something. We can get another tap land with the Windswept Heath. And probably fell the Profane. Only one creature in our graveyard at the moment, after they exiled it. We can call for 3, 6. We can call for 7. So we can do that at instant speed. Well, call for 5 now because we've tapped a couple of creatures. They've got to do something. I was expecting something a bit scarier than that. The fact that they manually tapped makes me think they have a counterspell. But I'm not that bothered about getting into our graveyard. We can get it back with various things. Although them having a 3/3 is going to make it harder for us to do stuff. In the air, I mean. May have to fell the profane, the flyer. I could Toxic Deluge for 5, which will wipe everyone's board. Well, I think I'm going to have to take out that. If they let that go through. Oh, we're going to have to talk to that leash for a lot, I think. Probably a bit of a waste, but it means I don't have to Toxic Deluge for like 10 to make sure it dies. And then we will Toxic Deluge just for 3. And then when they replay Grimgrin, we can Chord of Colin for Ravenous Chupacabra. Still only have 2 creatures in our deck. In our graveyard, sorry. Well, I think we play out the crocodile. So what does Stabroon do? Beginning of each upkeep, they lose 2 life. No creatures there at all. Yeah, that's quite a powerful card, Perforated Crocodile. It's a bit like Massacre Worm. So we will Call of Call in for Ravenous Chupacabra, assuming it's not in our graveyard. And also assuming it's in our deck. So how much mana do we have? 4, 7, 8, technically 9. So we'll do this for 6. Oh, we could have more Perforated Crocodile. Did we actually put it in our deck in the end? I don't think we did. That's irritating. Well then, let's get Sheoldred. They're going to have to sacrifice something. They're going to have to chump. Obviously they'll just sack the champion of the perished. We can transform it and destroy Grimgrin. We can even do it after combat if they don't have another blocker. But they have something, I think. And we can probably get a few things back from our graveyard. Obviously our attack we can block with a Death Touch. And Aghanime's Awakening can get back the Perforated Crocodile. Oh, they get to choose. I think they're dead anyway. Depends what their last card is. Alright, let's cast this for 6. Oh, I should have... Well, they can't block with Nafi anyway. Let's see what their last card is. Well, they're still going to have to do something impressive. Quite like this card, Grimgrin. They're drawing, looking for an answer. Comes back tapped. Obviously, it getting huge, but having no trample or anything is a bit of an issue, I think. And we should just be able to swing in for lethal. As a really good, I think, demonstration of how powerful this deck can be. So a really, really good win. Well, we have Unearth, and the Nightmare is a really good recursion tool as well. And the Feed Artisan is a great way to sack Grist. What we can do, we can swing in with the Grist. Then pay 2? No. Pay 1. No. Why do I keep on putting it back into command zone? And we'll get a Stitcher supplier. I don't know why I keep doing that. So annoyingly, I was going to transform Grist, take out their Arcane Signet. But now everything has hexproof. And we don't have an untapped land. Why can't I... So next turn we can unearth Grist. Maybe. Well, that's annoying. And I won't bother unearthing at the moment. Might unearth the Fiend Artisan instead. Although they might have removal. I can get back the Chupacabra. And I can basically do that again. Pay 2. Get back the Accursed Marauder. It's a nice little combo. And yeah, let's unearth Grist. And we can transform it straight away. And next turn we can turn the Shifting Woodland into one of our Fiend Artisan or our White of the Reliquary and smash in for 10. So that really highlighted the power of this kind of deck. So this is another graveyard-based deck, I think. Yeah, well, you can get it back from the graveyard. Persist is good if we find, say, like a Perforated Crocodile and get it back. But then we can Bloodsoaked Champion and Kicks and Recycler are good things to be able to get back from a graveyard as well. Well, they're heavily mulliganing. Or is they just down to 6? Oh no, they have kept 7. Oh, they mulliganed to 5. Thought they had. And get their own Overgrown Tomb. We will do exactly the same, just obviously without the Elvish Mystic. Gix is pretty good. And I'm probably gonna, I'll just Dark Ritual to get out Gix so that we can start drawing cards. We can take out the Tampering with Grist once we transform him. I think they've got something. Oh, let's see what they've got. We will crack this. We're not going to be able to transform Grist this turn because none of our lands enter untapped. We can persist that back. So I'll just play out the Springleaf Drum and the Recycler. So obviously next turn we can persist the Crate Hoof, which will give everything +4/+4, which might be enough for lethal. 5. It won't give it Trample though. Why didn't I play this the last turn? That was stupid of me. Oh, I would quite like to keep Grist for now. Yep. Being able to get back Crate Hoof Behemoth on what, turn 4? Bit of a misplay not playing the Blue Marsh. I could have transformed Grist the previous turn, but actually it turned out not to be needed. Nadu. So the best commander at the moment. Nightmare's a really, really good card. Rather Crate Hoof Behemoth in our graveyard, but we are on the play. So I might just Thoughtseize, get in their hand, see what they've got. Oron's Epiphany. So Blossom in Defense is the only interaction they've got, which is the entire point of their deck. We can get our Surveil land. No creature on our graveyard yet. Where is Surveil? There we go. Question is though, what do we get? Well, I'll attack with Grist, just on the off chance they decide to block. No. Grave Pact is very, very powerful against Nadu. We're going to do Grave Pact next turn, then turn after that we can Blood and Bones, get back Grist. In fact, we can Case of a Stash Skeleton, Chthonian Nightmare, sacrifice the skeleton, get back Grist. Toxic Deluge would be nice as well. They're not far away from being able to take an extra turn. Right, well, let's do this. I need to do one. And I'm not going to transfer it for me because it will just get taken down by Nadu and the Oracle. And I might as well play out the Nightmare again. And then next turn we can use the case as a tutor, but I think they can probably all run to Epiphany. Yeah. We need more creatures and more creatures in our graveyards. Well, that's a problem. Right, what do we get? Buried Alive would have been good if we had more mana. Yeah. Again, I wasn't meant to put it into my command zone. We don't have any creatures in our graveyard. So that means we're just dead. Yeah, it's frustrating when we just didn't get anything in our graveyard, so nothing to bring back. Having Crater Hoof in our opening hand sucked, basically. We would rather have that and get that into our graveyard, but, you know, that was just frustrating. So Shilgangar's a new demon from Modern Horizons 3. It's a demon angel type combo deck. We are on the play. Grey packs again, really good. Yeah, so you get a blood token when you sacrifice another creature. If it's an angel, you get blood tokens equal to its toughness instead. You can pay 3, sack 6 blood tokens, so each creature from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. So our opponent's thinking about something. We'll get our overgrown tomb. Get down Grist. Oh, I imagine they take the Grave Pact. Oh, 3 or less, that's why. Well, let's see if we can just get a basic land. We need, well, black, I think. Just don't seem to be drawing creatures at all. So next turn we can take out Mondrak. Or even if they attack, we can cause them to sack Mondrak. Oh, that's annoying. Buy Mondrak. Woe Strider and Grey Pack is a bit of a nasty combo. Don't need more lands. I'll keep back Grist in case they power up Hive again. We can double block it. Wouldn't be surprised with a scoop here. Oh. I mean, that's not going to do a huge amount. And we will just get our Surveil land, although we know what's on top, so actually has a bit of a waste. We will get rid of the Hornet Queen, the Jet Collector, the Priest, and the land. And we'll play out the Jet Medallion. Play out Yawgmoth. Swing in for 6. Probably should have kept one of the smaller creatures. Obviously, we can flare. If we just flare, say, Yawgmoth, it'll cause him to get rid of 2 things. They are thinking about something. Actually, I don't think we bother doing it now. I'll get the Woe Strider, get back something. That'll cause them to sacrifice. I'm not sure if that was our Grist or their Grist. No, our Grist. They didn't have green, obviously. So, yeah, that was a pretty good result. Hello, Magic fans, and welcome back to the wrap-up. So, our deck stats are a bit misleading. It says we played 6 times with an 83% win rate. 5 on the play, 1 on the draw. Now, that seems fantastic. And if you watch the deck tech, which you should have done, you would have heard me say, I don't think this is very powerful. I think it's the least powerful of all the Planeswalkers played. And obviously, you might look at this and go, that doesn't show it. But basically, what I do is I will make the deck, tweak the deck, play lots of games while tweaking, record some, and I might put some into the final video and all that kind of stuff. And then I will wipe the data on MTG Assistant and then go, right, now we're playing, now we're going to do it. And so those last 6 games, which is when I actually recorded the game, most of the gameplay footage and the stats, obviously we won 6 times. 5 times out of 6. Before that, we did not. It was like we won 2 out of 6 or 7 kind of thing, or maybe even worse than that. So just shows that sometimes the data can be a bit misleading. But it said when it works, it really, really works. I think the problem is, as I said in the deck tech, it's a fast deck but not an aggro deck. And as the game goes longer, chances are your opponents can have more powerful things than you are. It's relying on getting things into your graveyard, which if you don't draw them or you don't draw a way to getting them in, is just not going to, There were games where I'm sitting on a Born Again, I think it's called, where you sack a creature, put a creature back onto the battlefield, put one into your hand, or Victimize, like I've literally got nothing in a graveyard. I've got Grist transformed and he's meaning things, but he's just meaning land or, spells or whatever. So, but there are other games where you're like, great, I can persist a Crayhu Behemoth on turn 4 or 5 and swing in with 5 whatever creatures, and that's probably going to win you the game. So it's all in on one thing, and if you don't get that one thing, it's not very good. One of the things I also found very, very hard, which was me, is I very rarely play graveyard decks or anything. I'm like, commander dies, automatically press send back to command zone, and you'll do it. And with Grist, obviously you don't want to, and I'll do it, and I'll be like, well, that's the game over because I've just did a massive punt. I don't think there were any in the videos I showed. I actually put it into the overall video, but it definitely happened a lot. And that's something that I need to work on. So so I had fun when it worked. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in my next video.